scene there. Remove that, and then adjust my glasses. Oops, they aren't working just right there. They're sliding. Okay. If you're new here, I'm putting like the text above my head. It says I put the Matthew, Mark, Luke, John together as one book. And what I'm going through here is teaching some of these verses and looking for whether I'm going to add text or maps, or I missed editing. But right now, these are the verse locations of where these verses came from. I've got many videos that I have done that when you go to my website you can find, and the books and videos, video links, where I discuss these for some of these verses are like a chapter for three hours. So someone in the crowd said, "Jesus, tell my brother to give more of our inheritance to me." Jesus told him, "Be on guard against everyone against every form of greed." Be against. Yeah, I got it spelled right. I just said it wrong. Be on guard against every form of greed, even when one has an abundance, for life does not only have needs of possession. Then he told him a parable. I'm trying to think of where this text is at, because when I left off, Jesus is in this area now in Ephraim. He's on his way to or near Shechem. The city Shechem is here, and he's going to be baptized somewhere along the river here. And you can see it's not going to be above this river, but somewhere below, or Selim, I guess. Sorry about that. It's morning. Then he told him a parable. The land for a richer was very productive, and thinking to himself, "What will I do? I have no place to store all my produce." Then he thought, "I will build larger ones. Then I can store all my produce. Then I can say I have much produce stored up for many years. Now I can eat, drink, and be happy." At their time, produce sustained life. So here it's kind of like Jesus is just giving them a parable about saying, like what we would consider today, people with enough money to say, "I don't have to worry about life anymore. I've got enough money and I'm just going to eat, drink, and be happy." Then Yahweh said to him, "Tonight your soul will be removed from your body. Now who will own what you have stored?" So who lays up earthly goods is not richer with Yahweh. For this reason, do not be anxious for your goods, for your life on earth. Your Father knows your needs. Seek my kingdom, and things will be added to your life. Do not be afraid, for our Father has chosen you for my kingdom. Sell your extra and give it to the needy. Now, John does say the same thing here, only Jesus is now the first time giving you the recommendation of how to act to help you enter into his kingdom in heaven. Yes, our Creator knows all your needs, but the other thing is you have burdens. Everybody has burdens. So the thing there is we learn for our burdens. Our burdens are for us to talk to our Creator about. Okay, now it's going to have just another story from Jesus. A rich master also dressed in linen, and he lived in luxury every day. A poor male named Lazar, sat by his gate covered with leprosy, to be fed by what was left from the male's table. That poor male died and was taken by his angels to Abram's arms. Then the rich master died. In the abyss, he saw Abram far away with Lazarus in his arm. He cried out to Abraham, "Have mercy on me." Abram replied, "Remember, during your life you had good food, and Lazar ate leftover food from your table. Now for him to be righteous, he is being comforted. Now for him being righteous, he is being comforted here, and you are in agony." Now this word agony, hell does not exist yet, so this can't be related to the description of hell yet. Look at this void between us. This void was commanded, so those waiting to come here are not able to cross from there. He said to Abram, "I beg you, send him to my house, for I have sons. Let him warn them, so they are not sent to this place." Abram replied, "They have Moses and his prophets to learn from." He said, "No, Abraham, if Lazar goes to them from the dead, they will repent." Abraham replied, "If they do not listen to Moses and to his prophets, neither will they listen to Lazar." Now this is where the subject changes here, by the way. I've got an extra space here. And you can see, though, the text is kind of the same story from Luke. You are to expect stumbling blocks to test your life. Now, I've added the gray text here. I also had to add the word Abraham above to complete the sentence. And I wanted to make sure that you understand what these stumbling blocks are to test your life. But woes are for them through whom they come. If your brothers and sisters sin, rebuke them. If they repent, pardon them. In other words, at Jesus' time, these sins are not against you. These are sins are against our Creator. I described sins, and I will do that in this video as well, because this really needs to be hammered home. These are the 12 commandments, and our Creator defined what a sin is by saying, if you did not obey any of these 12 commandments, you are to bring a sin offering, and that is to your priest at the tent for meeting or the house for meeting with our Creator. Now the thing here is he knows the priests are corrupt right now, so he's speaking to those people at this time. You're supposed to rebuke them if you know that they're sinners, okay? But if they repent, pardon them. So the thing here is some sins they'll say, and then later they will, hopefully, just like yourself, you will say something that you know, or hopefully not you say something, but what I want to do is set up the situation. I stumbled with my words there. Say you're talking to somebody and you know you said something that isn't our Creator's will for you to live by. You should immediately stop from there, go away from them, go and talk to our Creator and ask Him to help you not do that again. The more you do that, the more our Creator truly understands you don't want to be against our Creator. So They knew at their time that they were speaking against our Creator, so rebuke them, just like you're supposed to stay away from those that are evil now today. This is the same thing Jesus is saying. You just say, I reject you, and I don't want to be your buddy, friend, or whatever. And so many Christians today are so weak that they still are not truly Christians. Those are the ones Jesus speaks about, saying, well, I called to you, and Jesus is going to say, you never actually did what I told you to do, so you're not going to enter into heaven. But if they repent, pardon them. That means if they start showing that they're going to honor and respect our Creator, even though that they had said something like this, then all of a sudden you can start to accept them back. So this is where you give somebody a second chance only if they are acting the way they're speaking to be truthful. Because if they start acting against our Creator again, then it's a full-on rebuke. So the thing here is that's the information in or Jesus's guidance for you. Okay, an elderly asked, "My Lord, increase our trust in Yahweh." Jesus said, "My kingdom from Yahweh is like a mustard seed. If you trust Yahweh like a mustard seed, you could say to this tree, be uprooted, and it will obey you." This is not literally saying that you can uproot a tree and move it, okay? The object is this Jesus is speaking of as your thought garden, okay? The thoughts that you have in your head that you rely on to talk to other people, there are many ways that I could relate certain ways of a word are related to each other that causes you to have a stability of understanding your true truths. And so this thought garden, if you have something that you let grow too much, you are to uproot it and get rid of it. So example, once you start trusting our Creator, this tree overrules all the other trees, and you could say to that tree that is your thought that you clung to, now you know that our Creator exists and you trust Him. Now you can get rid of the other thoughts that you can say, I was wrong, talk to our Creator, and get rid of this. Because the mustard seed grows as a tree, and his other proverb, you could say to this, yeah, because a tree stands over a lot of your thoughts. Those would be the ones you have to understand when I'm saying your garden or your thoughts are like a garden. Example, say that you really like telling people something. Well, this you're actually bringing up over and over, and you're giving them like a fruit that if they taste this truth that you've tasted and you really trust, that you'll like this fruit, then you'll say, I wanted that to grow in my thoughts as well. So then you'll have thoughts that say, well, there's still things that I'm not sure about something. Well, then those are like thistles or branches that have thorns on them and stuff that are growing next to your other thought that you're not quite as sure, so it doesn't have a high growth that you bring up all the time to people. So a lot of this is referring to your thoughts that you have, and you will be trusting our Creator now. And later, after this mustard seed that you started with our Creator of building a trust with Him by obeying and being obedient to Him, that your other thoughts will start being uprooted from your conversation and from your mouth, which is a good thing. Okay. With parables, he taught them. So this was a parable that I tried to explain the best I could here, and many were able to understand them. He did not speak to them without telling them a parable. Then he would explain everything to his disciples. So now we have the words that say that Jesus not only would speak to where some could understand it, because you got to remember at this time, those that were still obedient to our Creator, following His statutes, His commandments, His laws, and His guidances to the best they can, or at that time, they were allowed to recognize Jesus as their King. That's why our Creator and many other verses in the text now will say that I think Jesus says, those who will see me, those who do not see me will not see me. Well, that's what this means when he says that parable. So this is going to that fact that many were able to understand him, meaning those were the true Israelis, where the others had fallen into disbelief by Jews, which are Israelis that are now not believing that Jesus is David's son that was to be their king in heaven. So then it does say that the disciples had given them the writers when they went and asked them how Jesus was teaching. This probably isn't being repeated anywhere in the text again, so it most likely was something that when he did tell many parables, that he would go tell them the parable or explain it a little bit more. So they understood, so when they went and taught about Jesus, that they would be able to use the same parable and say he said this and this is what he meant by that, by these words, which gives you insight to disciples of what happened after Jesus left. As Jesus walked, two blind males cried out, "Our son from David, have mercy for us." Jesus asked them, "Do you believe I am able to heal you?" They answered, "Yes, my Lord." He touched their eyes and said, "I do by your trust in me." And their eyes were healed, and they spread the news about him. As they were, it's because I've got these spaces, I've got to realize when the subject is changing, because when I'm reading them, it is to me confusing because I'm trying to concentrate on what I can tell you about this before I go on to the next one. So here, Jesus is teaching that he is able to heal people because they believe who he is. Okay. So this will go to another story later when the disciples were not able to heal somebody, and Jesus is going to refer. So Jesus is pretty much informing the people that you have to believe who I am and accept me as your king, and I am able to help you. Remember, Jesus said above that whoever our Father gives to me, that means that our Creator has given Jesus many Israelis at that time to understand who Jesus is. And then Jesus is now actually kind of confirming that in this verse here, do you believe I am able to heal you? So the trust is being built up above just the common understanding that now Jesus has been walking around, they hear these healings by Jesus. This was able for them to have a better coming closer to our Creator and obeying our Creator. So it would go to this, that their belief has been risen by what they're hearing about Jesus, and now they are fully convinced that he is who he is. That's why they cried out to him. So as they were walking, and this is what I do when Jesus is walking with his followers or with his disciples, because his disciples he hasn't gathered yet. As they were walking, a dumb male with a demon was brought to him. After the demon was cast out, the male spake, and the witness were saying, this healing has never been seen in our land. So here they're talking about their land, their tribe's land, okay? So this was, you have to understand when Jesus is traveling that this, what they were seeing, they heard, and then when just like healing the blind, now the next thing they were doing was they were witnessing a dumb male, and the word is with a demon. They didn't understand what was the cause behind these acts of like a person not being able to speak and hear. So the thing here is a dumb person can't, I believe dumb can't talk. That's what it is, yeah. Because there are those that can't hear and can't speak. So here, this dumb male, they didn't know why. They knew he had a tongue, and to them, you have to understand the tongue spake. They didn't know that we had a voice box. So when you hear the words tongue, and it's kind of, I might as well bring that up now that I'm speaking about tongue. There's no such thing as speaking in tongues and people standing up and doing gibberish talk. The object was they meant that they were speaking in different languages when they were speaking in their tongue. So the thing there is they knew that he had a tongue, so they didn't understand why there was no wording coming from his tongue. Okay? So, but now they're mentioning never been seen in our land, and the word land being capital, meaning their tribe's land. Okay? And that'll be noted throughout all the text, the way I have put these things, or the way I have the words noted differently and not according to proper English are hints and clues for the reader to understand what's being said, and this would be in our tribe's land. And when their scribes began saying, he cast out demons as ruler of demons, he said to them, why would Satan cast out his demons? For if a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand together. Like a family divided against itself, that family does not stand up together. If Satan raises against his, they cannot stand up together. So this is Jesus's comment of him not being Satan, and the one who's saying this doesn't make sense. Kind of like an accusation with no backing up. A lot of people today will say things that just is wanting to cause a problem and not really going to put out an argument as being truthful. This was said, and then give the opinion. They're stirring up, these scribes are stirring up the people by putting this as a thought in their head and then responding to their thought and not actually thinking it through. And Jesus stops them right off the bat and points out, if you reasonably think about what you said, you're wrong. So here, like I said, even today, we got politicians standing up right now saying the most stupid stuff I've ever seen, and the newscasters spread their bullshit, and they keep going after, don't think about anything else, but think about how that person said it and think against the person who's trying to do good for the people. So this goes to the fact that Jesus got them right off the bat and put them in their place. And then he's going to go on and he's going to talk a little bit more. No one can enter a strong male's home to steal his goods unless he ties up the stronger male. Then he can steal from his home. I say, sins can be forgiven, but whoever curses him or his holy words will never be forgiven. And I'm going to change this to, Yahweh. It needs to be his name. Who curses Yahweh or his holy words will never be forgiven. So, I didn't know the text was running off the end. Okay, now we're going to go to two of John's followers. Now remember the map that I showed you here. Let's see, nope, that's still on that. I tried to organize this a little bit today. Now, as I said, he is in this area, so I guess I should show it a little bit better of him from. Now we know he is in this land. Now, did he cross the river over here and he's speaking over here? This is just going to be something we don't know about, but John seems to be near Salem, and the thing here is he's by a river bridge that when he is preaching, okay, or heralding. So it's two of John's followers that are going to go approach Jesus someplace in this land or this tribe. Let me see. Yeah, and you can see by the, here, let me blow this up a little bit. The width of the land here for this tribe is not really, but maybe 15 miles, 15 miles across, and it is deep, I guess I would say. Across would be this way, east-west. It looks like it's maybe, 45, 50 miles. So that's quite a big area to be traveling. So he could be there anywhere. Two of John's followers heard Jesus' teaching and they followed him. Now this would be John's followers are those that truly believe John was doing what our Creator commanded John to do, okay? So I didn't want to use the word disciples of John, okay? And just like I have followers following Jesus right now, so I kept the word followers to mean just that. And they followed him. Jesus turned and saw them following and said, "What do you seek from me?" They said, "Teacher, where will you teach?" He said, "Come with me and you will see." And they stayed with him a day. Now, then those followers for John reported to him about what Jesus was doing. So John sent two of his disciples to ask Jesus, "Are you his Holy One, or do we look for someone else?" Now, this would mean that the two followers actually ran back to John in that timeline. So it's just not like it's going to take a couple days for them to get there, I would say, is reasonably. And then John's going to send these to go look for Jesus. Now, this means that it's going to take some time for them to find Jesus because he is walking around. So the thing here is and this is, are you his Holy One, or are you looking for someone else? Now, this is the way our Creator described his Holy One in the text. I think I have how many times Jesus is actually called his Holy One. Psalms, Isaiah, Hosea, and Mark. So of here, these are the words that I can find that are speaking of Jesus as his Holy One. And it's not of Israel, it's from Israel, or Israel the male. So this was known to them and commonly spoke. It looks like it says from Psalms, but a lot of the Psalms are not from David's time, because I've literally got, when I did Psalms, and it would be a good thing if you watch my videos on Psalms, and you'll see how I define, how I know a lot of these words are from kings at different times, and things that happened at different times, and how they cannot be sung at all. But it seems that ever since Isaiah is around, the text is definitely saying Jesus is the Holy One who is to come, meaning our highest one to come. So, but holy is meaning he's definitely being sent by our Creator, where everybody else isn't being really sent by our Creator, being with a destiny of become our King in heaven. So, then they came to Jesus. They said, "John our Baptist has sent us to you to ask you, are you his Holy One, or do we look for someone else?" At that time, Jesus was healing our people from their diseases, sicknesses, demons, and blindness. Jesus answered them, "Report to John what you heard and seen." So this means that they had been witnessing Jesus doing what he's doing. Then it was their turn to be able to speak to Jesus. And then he's telling them, "Go report to John what you have heard and see. The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are healed, and the deaf hear, and our poor have my teaching preached to them." I didn't want to say gospel here, because because Jesus's gospel is his teaching of his kingdom. So, for blessed were they who did not stumble because of me. So the thing here is this here goes to our Creator blessing them for still obeying our Creator, and our Creator sent them to Jesus. So Jesus is, should I put that note here, because I know that's what Jesus will speak? Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a note here. and that will be um, put this in yellow as to what my note is about. And that is to say that Jesus says, no one comes to me unless our Father sends you to me, or at that time, or even now today. See how I'm doing on time. Oh, not bad today. Um, when they left, Jesus told the crowd about John. Why did they go to the Jordan River to see him? Why did they go to the Jordan to see John? That I'll get rid of this. For who they saw, it was a male wearing hides, and not like those clothed that live in luxury. They who saw who they saw is his prophet, and I say he is more than a prophet. For John is whom was prophesied, behold, I will send his messenger before you. He will prepare their way before them. Now, I've already explained the baptism and his heralding, so this is Jesus referring to, again, the text that is I might have already noted that this verse exists or it doesn't exist. I can't remember where it's found in my head right now. So I believe it's there. Some of these verses that Jesus points to or the writers point to are not there anymore. So I say there is no greater prophet than John, yet who is the least in my kingdom from Yahweh is as great as he. Now, when it says no greater prophet, all the prophets up until John's time were heralding Jesus is to come. So here Jesus is referring as the greatest prophet because he's saying, I am here. Okay, this is the meaning of a greater prophet. Now, John is also given extra duties by our Creator, and that is to be able to forgive those for their repentance of their sins. Okay. All the days to John the Baptist, my service for my kingdom in heaven have suffered, and all his prophets prophesied about me until John. So that, yeah, I'm pretty much stating that's the fact that he's pointing out here, but I want to make sure you understood this. I need to take a break, so I'm going to put some text up here for you to read about the helper. So this is about me and the text from Jesus when it's cleaned up. that? Okay, this is the verse that I was talking about earlier. He who has ears to hear me, let them hear me. To whom to whom will I compare evil mankind? Now, I had to add the word mankind because if you watch these videos before, I've described mankind as those who sit and meditate to have sex with a female goddess, specifically them, because the word mankind, a male's maleness will retract inside his body, or it can happen once a year, like the Pope's sex practice, the bishop's sex practice. So others have learned different systems, so that doesn't happen to them every year. They don't need this. Their knowledge is higher in this meditation sex practice. But he's talking about them specifically. They are like children sitting at street corners calling out to everyone, "We played our flute for you, and you did not dance with us. We sang our dirge, and you did not mourn like us." What they're complaining about in life is that they had tried to figure out how to not have a seed loss in the night by males. So what they've done over history, and this goes back before the Great Flood, that they figured out by sitting and meditating that they come across this deceivement by Satan, who becomes the female goddess, that when he appears at a certain time, that this action of having like a sex but not a seed loss, then this is this we sang about our drudge, and you did not mourn like us, didn't feel our sorrows about our losses like this, and then we played our flutes for you, and you did not dance with us. So the thing here is the flutes were representing their happiness about they're able to stop this, and that's what they were saying, that their music, all their words are coded, double meanings of everything. So you wouldn't understand their double code, which is good, because that'd be against our Creator. But this text has to remain here this way. So it can't be changed, and it has to be tied to how they teach you by deceiving you. Just like I got that bishop saying that Jesus, or that bishop, was his name, Robert Barron's, how he is telling you in a video that the church fathers have always taught Jesus as a myth. They don't come out and tell you Jesus is a myth when you're being taught by the Roman Catholic Church. In fact, they don't want you, and he says that in that video that I've got, that you are not supposed to read the text literally. So this is calling out that they're just calling out from the street corners, or preaching today to everyone, but it's hidden from you of what they're talking about. Yet when John came, neither a glutton nor a drinker of wine. A gluttony is not supposed to be part of your life. I see food eating contests a lot. That's just against our Creator will. So quit being a glutton. Those that are overeating should now know that that's being glutton as well. I would suggest for those that are overweight, they should start eating raw vegetables. Myself, I've lost probably 30 pounds, and I'll probably lose some more, but I'm eating raw vegetables, dipping them in like salad dressing, and I'm not trying to eat as much as I would normally eat every day. So that has caused my weight to come down over time. So the thing here is if you're looking for a weight loss, that would be, I would say, the best. And yes, you can have red meats, but not a lot. You do have to portion yourself less as you get older, say over the age of 40. Your body doesn't need as much food, so you might even be able to cut out a whole lunchtime, okay? Or the other people that, when they're on diets, have a problem of thinking that they need to eat all the time. Eat less more often then, meaning just a quick nibble, just a couple things, and that's it. And that would be even advice for those that have a problem of quitting any kind of addiction, is to keep doing lesser and putting it down. Set it down. Say, I don't need this right now. And what will happen over time, say a month or two, you'll find that all of a sudden you're craving for that object, or you're overdoing substance. You'll find that starts leaving you. You will be less and less, and then all of a sudden you'll find that you can completely get rid of your addiction. So a drinker of wine, this is those, like I was saying about alcoholics, just less and less is the way to, because it's too hard just to stop immediately. Okay, less and less. That's the name of the game there. They call him a demon. I, your son, for man. And notice how I'm using the word for, meaning he's talking about himself for everyone on earth now. Came eating and drinking, not overdoing it, but just came eating and drinking. Then they said, look, a glutton and a drunkard, and a friend to taxmen and sinners. So those that were coming to Jesus, even though taxmen were hated because they knew they were overcharging, and it was kind of like they're overcharging, and this taxed by the Romans is not really something that was appreciated by the people, because even if they're probably traveling from one tribe's land to another tribe's land, they were probably getting taxed. And then with sinners, this would have been those that are truly against our Creator. But he was teaching all Israelis at that time, because not everyone was mankind, like the priest at that time, the judges at that time, scribes at that time. So when many of our people heard this, they acknowledged Yahweh's justice and went to John to be baptized. Went to be baptized by John. Excuse me, I read that wrong. Then Jesus and his followers went. Okay. So I'm going to change to when. Jesus and his followers were in the land from. John was baptizing our people near Salem. The next day, near Salem. Okay, now comes the map that I was bringing up earlier here. See, this map. So this red line is where I'm saying Jesus traveled. I'll have to change that. I'll have to change it that he was over in here somewhere, and then around here, and then he's going to go over here near Salem, because Salem is a city, and I don't know the land structure, how far this stuff is down in going into the valley. So this is my best guess right now. So it's probably over here, but John is at this bridge here, and you know that it can't be above this river, because this black line here is dividing these three tribes' lands, as well as who's where as descendants. And this place is most likely the same place they crossed the river into the promised land. So it has a very important place on the to Israel's at that time. They would have known this. So the thing here is somewhere down here in the Jordan River. Now, to say about the Jordan River, this goes, I don't know when it starts going into great depth, but what happens is that this is sea level over here, and Jordan River is said to be like 15 to 1800 feet below sea level, so it becomes this great big, let's see, bring this one up. I think I already have this bookmark. Okay. It's just 3D. Okay, here. Here is the land known as Israel. And what happens, let me see here, do they have a section cut to show this great depth of the Jordan River? Well, you can see it maybe here, how this valley goes down on both sides, okay? So this is what I'm talking about. This is down really deep. They've got it shown here as this as well. So this, you get an idea. Maybe it's even under here when it's got here. I'm trying to find the section elevation. Let's do Jordan. Sea of Galilee, and then you can see the Jordan River as it comes down through here. Okay, and you can see over here on the, oops, you can't see here. Here you can see that it's 2,000 feet is down here. So like I said, when it's, the river is from Lake Galilee going down is below the sea level. So you can see even the Lake Galilee is below the sea level. So the thing here is this is going down. So it's quite a gap, and what I'm saying is I'm not sure where this city is located, but there usually is a road that goes along this edge line. I didn't put them in, but the object is at that time they would have had many paths to get down here, but this river is pretty much where John is going to baptize Jesus. So within a quarter mile of this bridge area is where Jesus was truly baptized in the Jordan River. Not like people, Christians not understanding, and they're putting up tourist traps for, oh, no, over here in a pool of water Jesus was baptized. John was baptizing our people near Salem, The next day, as John saw Jesus coming to him, he shouted, "Look, our Lamb from Yahweh. Now he will forgive sins for everyone. He is whom I herald. After me comes our King who existed before us." Now, there's a lot to say before who existed before us. This means John knew that, like I've been saying from the text, I've realized that Jesus was our Creator's first angel he created, first angel he created here. This also means that John knew about Jesus's death because a lamb was used as a peace offering. A peace offering was to, for like going to war, that they need this have peace, that when it's over, that we're done with this war. So it could have been before going to war or after going to war. It was a peace offering, and this was done by the highest priest, and they used a lamb for this. And also it means John knew about Jesus' death ahead of time. He also knew who Jesus looked like when he seen him coming. He didn't need his disciples to tell him. The text says that the next day as John saw him, meaning that he looked up, he seen Jesus coming. And this is where I say that Jesus and John knew each other in heaven, and then our Creator gave them instructions to John to do what he's to do. And this is also the knowledge that we have of Elizabeth saying John jumped in her womb when Mary came in with Jesus in her womb. So the thing here is this all goes to the fact that this text specifically points out that John and Jesus knew each other in heaven, and they looked like each other do on earth. So an angel's appearance as a face would be the same in heaven before they're sent on earth. Okay, so John tried to prevent him, saying, "I have need to be baptized by you." Jesus' answer was, "He has permitted this. This way it is fitting for us to fulfill his commands." Now, okay, I'll get to this in a little bit here. After John baptized Jesus, immediately Jesus went up from the water, and then they saw the heavens open, and they saw Yahweh's breath descending upon Jesus in a bodily form like a dove. Then Yahweh's voice came from heaven, "Jesus is my favorite son. I am pleased with him." Now we know our Creator knows in Hebrew there is no J. So the thing here is we have to use Jesus because the text, they have distorted so much. I'm not going to change Jesus's name. But I just want to point out that our Creator knew that there was no J in the Hebrew language. So the thing here is our Creator did tell Gabriel to tell Joseph to name his son. So, and I am pleased with him. So this, when it's talking about fitting for us to fulfill his commands, should I use the word statutes here, to fulfill his statutes? I think the word statutes should be better placed here. Because one, to become a king, one needs the oil that is used from the meeting room that's used to fill the lamps, for the lamps to light up the meeting room with our Creator. This oil is very important because one, it is to say, "I am anointing you king over whatever, over all Israel. At Moses' time, he was instructed to use the oil to be poured over the priest, so they are to enter into his meeting room or his courtyard to minister to our Creator. So this was a statute. So I better put the word statute here. But it's more than one, and I don't know if I spelled this right. I flunked English. Spelled it so bad that I can't. There's nothing here. I have to check this later here. Okay, I'm adding this. Get rid of this. All right. Whoops. Gotta do this. His statute. So John is doing one thing here, and that's anointing him as king, and as the breath from our Creator descended upon Jesus, I have to take you to these other words. Let me get over here, click here. These words I've already went over, but I want to explain them again. This was Jesus talking about when he picked up the reading from Isaiah. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. So this is what's going to happen at this time. He has anointed me to preach my gospel to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim the release of the captives. Well, sent me to not proclaim the release, but the redeeming of the captives in the abyss. So, and all done in the favorable year of our Lord. Okay, here's text that they say is in the Hebrew text. I couldn't find this. I will put my Spirit upon him, and he shall proclaim justice to the Gentiles. So this verse that's in Matthew is now being here in this baptism that's going on. So this is pretty much our Creator's the fulfillment of, maybe that's why I had the word commands and not statutes, that because these were prophecies as well, because this anointment has to be done by a true priest, and there is no priest at this time qualified, so our Creator's breath is going to descend upon Jesus. So let me say this, that to give you a better visual of this text, that immediately Jesus went up from the water, so we know he's arisen and he's above the water. Then they saw the heavens open, which means that the blue sky all of a sudden towards the north star, the sky, the blue heaven opened, and they could see the second heaven. And the second heaven, is the motion of the stars' movement, becomes a mountain, Mount Zion in the far north in Psalms 48, verse 2. And heaven is above the North Star. So this is where our Creator ascended when he left the earth before, when he talked to people as a male. I think Abraham is an example I can give you. The thing here is this is where Moses looked to heaven to raise his staff, or Jesus looked to heaven to ask to feed the multitude. And this now opened up for them to see the sky and literally see a breath in a bodily form, okay? Like a dove. A dove, what happens with a dove, it'll flap its wings a few times and it leaves them out, and it does this soaring ability type of thing, or swooping type of thing when they fly. So the thing here is like a dove is very important in the text because it's going to rest upon Jesus, descend upon Jesus. And what happens is that this bodily form, just before it gets to Jesus, like a dove, when a dove folds its wings to close in, it will raise up and then straight down to rest on the land. Well, this is the bodily form, went right straight into Jesus. So his breath filled Jesus, okay? This is the anointment that our Creator is going to now make Jesus a priest, because to be a priest, the statutes is that has to be anointed with the oil. Our Creator is going to anoint him with his breath. It's very important to understand these words for Jesus to be able to forgive sin, because now the text will start saying Jesus forgives sin, okay? So this has to take place before any text above where Jesus is to be able to forgive sin. So this is very important, and now you have a visual. But the word statutes might not be as good as I thought it would be so I'm going to say commands is the better word. And leave it that way and say fulfill his commands. Better say text. So now you have a real good visual of what happened when Jesus was baptized, okay? And probably this is the first time you're hearing of this teaching at all. So just to let you know the knowledge our Creator gave me, for every word that is being here, I understand, and I'm able to tell you what they absolutely mean. Then Jesus was taken by Satan to the desert. For days he was tempted by Satan, and he had not eaten during those days, and he became very hungry. Satan said, "You are their son from Yahweh. Command these stones to become bread." Jesus answered, "This was prophesied by man will not live by bread alone, for we are to live by every command from Yahweh." So this here again, Jesus is being tempted by Satan. Okay, now where is this being taken place? That, I'm pretty sure, is going to be that one, he was down here in this area, and what's going to happen is Jesus is going to be in this area when this happens, for the simple fact that when Jesus leaves, and you're going to see this in the text, that he's going to go up through here to Lake Galilee. So on the timeline of things, this has got to be probably month 4 going on month 5. Okay. So then he took Jesus to Jerusalem and had him stand on the roof of a temple. Now, a temple is different than the house for meeting with our Creator. Those of you who don't understand the difference between a temple and the house for meeting with our Creator, a temple has a false idol of their God, and they draw them to have these symbols and stuff for people to know that he is a god or goddess, and they would put them in temples. Now, the thing here is today it's called the Temple Mount, which means that pagans are in control of the text, because you should know the difference of a temple. And we can go back to when the Philistines were fighting at Samuel's time, that they took the chest with the 12 commandments. Well, they took the 12 commandments out of the chest and they took that to war. And the Philistines took it and they placed it before their God in their temple. Okay? So the thing here is the word temple is always meant by the Hebrew writers as a place for a false God's image to be, and people would go in and worship. There's another verse when the commander talks to Elijah about being forgiven when he goes into the temple before another god with his king. So here, this means that in Jerusalem now, there are other people that are powerful enough that were building temples, okay? And I would say it was probably Buddhist temples, like a Buddhist temple, okay? Because Buddhist has many gods as well. Did the Romans put up their own temples? Most likely they did that as well. Because of the practice tied from the east to the Greeks, they had combined them and knew more. This is why I said in the text there are hints of reincarnation, which wouldn't have been something that the Romans really taught at that time, or from Greece. Or they've been around. Greece started as a small city 700 years before Jesus walks on earth. So there was that female goddess meditation practice in Greece that they taught. So this is, he had him stand on a roof of a temple. No, I put it a roof and not the very top of the temple. They call it a pinnacle, that or just on the roof. I don't think they got that constructive at that time. The text, like I said, is being edited by these guys, so they're using words specifically for specific understandings of their practice. Then he said to them, if you are their son from Yahweh, you can fall from here and not be hurt. For this too was prophesied. He gave his angels a command concerning you. With their hands they are to help you. Never are you to fall to die. I had to add the word die because he is on the roof. And I'm going to make a note because I'm pretty sure I can find that in the Hebrew text. Then he took Jesus to show him every kingdom on earth within hours. Satan told him, I will give you all those kingdoms for you, for they have been given to me, and I can give them to whomever I want. If you worship me, they will be yours. Jesus answered, it is written, you are to only worship Yahweh and serve him. Now this is not just written, it is coming from the 12 commandments. So I can easily make sure that this is what is being said here by Jesus. The thing here is what, let me finish here, I guess. Jesus commanded him, be gone from me, Satan. When Satan left, angels came to Jesus with food. Now, you'll understand that if you read the text, your text has changed, and that's why I said I had to clean these up to mean specifically to be as truthful as possible. Now, when it talks about Jesus being shown every kingdom on earth within hours, this does mean that they would appear over these major kingdoms, but it would show these temples where he's got set up of showing about the female goddess. And he's saying that I am who is really ruling over all earth. And when we read the text here, it is pretty much saying Satan is telling us, and you have to remember where these words come from. These words had to come from Jesus, okay, and had to be told to the disciples what happened. So these specific words they remembered from Jesus to be telling us that Satan is really been given the earth as a domain, and he was supposed to watch over and guide it, but he had corrupted himself and he deceived the people to set himself up as the ruler over everyone on earth. So the thing here is our Creator is taking Satan's deceivement on the earth and getting the correct word out now about Jesus is the one who is going to be established as the king and where you're going to live at in heaven or not. So those all come into understand when you know more about the text. But it does say here that Jesus told the disciples that Satan is the ruler over the world right now by deceivement. Okay. Shortly, okay, I've got another 15 minutes. I can go through this one. Shortly after John was arrested and in prison, for Herod, our governor, disliked him on account of Herodias, his brother's ex-wife. And I had to add the word ex-wife, former wife. And his accounting about the evils Herod done, so he had John put into prison. And when Jesus heard John was arrested, he was by Lake Galilee. So this has to come from the text, like I was saying about the map where he was at. He was by Galilee, but the stories below, Jesus was at Azekara. So again, let me get this map here. Here's Azekara, and like I said, this is where Jesus was at. So I'm thinking that, yes, he went across. I don't know if there's a bridge now across here or not, but he could have went up to here, and now he's in Azekara before he's in Galilee. So the stories are going to be about here, but when Jesus hears about John, it's going to be up here. So now you can see the timeline is now got to be the 5th month for sure, and this is when this is going to happen, that John goes to prison. So, but the thing here is it was John, when they're asking him, what about the governor that we have? Now remember, the governors have been divided into 3. This would have been, in the text you'd read it as Galilee, and I'm making sure that it's easier to understand as the western part of the nation Israel, and then the Jordan was another name. I don't know what can't remember what it was, but this was the other governor ruling over here, and then Pontius down here ruling here. So now we have Jesus somewhere or will be there in Azekara. But the object is now you know where the governor, who he was over, and what he was. He was actually assigned by the Romans, so he must have done something to get the attention to be able to be labeled as a governor, because he's put in such a high position as a governor from Rome. So the thing here is John was speaking against his will of obeying our Creator's laws, even by marrying his brother's wife who had not died yet. So legally, by our Creator's laws, if his brother had died, then this would not be an evil account of Herod had done. So this is flat out adultery. So one of the 10 lepers returned. Okay, Jesus was in Ezekar with Yahweh's authority by his anointment. So now this anointment has been explained of, and I should just make it's going to be about baptism, but I'll just put note here and not embarrass myself. I can't spell it right now. His anointment, the news about him was spreading through every tribe. Now news about him was spreading through every tribe. Okay. While he was walking to Samaria. Now Samaria is not in Ezekar. Samaria is here and Ezekar is here by this black line, so he's in West Manasseh. So now you know why I'm saying Jesus was in the desert here, because there's the first story we have. Jesus So Ezekar has to be changed. Say West Manasseh. West Manasseh. Yes. So this has to be right. So because it's, oops, come on. Click over here. Once, these are all small caps, by the way, and I should put, because I usually try to use west, east, so people knew. So this is going to be the text correction here. Okay. This news that was probably spreading was he was above the water. Okay. So another way of our Creator showing off our Jesus. He was above the water when they seen our Creator's breath come upon him. So this is what was being spread to every tribe at this time. So yes, when I put baptism here, you'll know that that's okay. While he was walking to Samaria, now a lot of people are going to complain about me moving the city Samaria here. There are many stories in the Hebrew text that it even took me a little bit when I was editing, like, what's going on here? And I'm going to tell you that what had happened was the kings had set up a city here to live as their residency, okay? But when the king was fighting off the Armenians that are going to come and take over East Manasseh and then come down here and fight in for Gad. The king buys a hill, okay? Now that's the first words that we know that Samaria is going to be set at. So that was one clue. The other clue is that when I believe it was Elijah sent his attendant to anoint Jehu as king, and then this king was in a battle over here and was recovering in Samaria. That Jehu was then spotted by the guard tower watcher as saying, I see riders coming, and it looks like Jehu's riding. And the story goes that the king says, send out a messenger to find out about peace. So now they have the story of how the guard is watching, and he reports to the king. He is met, but he is now riding behind Jehu and is not coming back to you. So the king says, ready me a chariot, I will go and see Jehu. And it says at the end of the river is where they met. So this can only be coming up out of the depth of the Jordan River. Like I was trying to tell you, it's, maybe 800, 700 feet below sea level here, that this road has to exist so this guard on top of a hill could look down and see Jehu's riding and recognize him in his commander's uniform and stuff like that. But he's also with other captains. So the thing here is this road and all this that I had to explain defines where Samaria is at by the text itself. Okay, so that is a big change of when you see Samaria on the maps. I'm literally going by what the text can be said in the Hebrew, and I define the story. But you can easily find that story, and when you read it, now you understand that there was a hill that was bought, okay? So the thing here is, and then established this as the next capital city of Israel. He was walking to Samaria, and before he entered a village, 10 lepers met him. They said to Jesus, have mercy for us. He said to them, go show yourselves to your priest. Again, here the priests, I'm saying, has changed, and they have their own synagogue, and now they have priests at their synagogue, which is not what our Creator had planned for them, but the word priest is now being shown up. This is now like the third time I've had to go over this, and that's why I said it's being these priests. You now have to understand the guidance I was given before, again, has to apply, that they were actually priests in their synagogues. And as they were walking to Jerusalem, they were healed. Now, this verse is saying that they're the higher priests. Boy, in this verse, okay, now it comes to one of these verses with the priest. If I would have read it, I wouldn't have made a fool of myself right now. But the thing here is walking to Jerusalem, they were healed. They were in a village. So, into some, I'm trying to put this in. So if Jesus walked from here to here, and as he's going here, he meets them, then they would be going to Samaria where their priests are at. Because other than that, they would have had to come all the way down here and down here, which would have been a couple hundred, well, probably 40 miles plus. Now, there might have been other cities over here. So do I put a city near them, or do I change this as he'll return to Jesus, and she praised Yahweh. So because the king would have had a synagogue around. I'm trying to just think of all the battles that happened, and there's was many things that happened around Samaria when kings came to fight the kings that for a couple hundred years. Let's see here. I have it noted. Well, okay, he made Samir Omar is the one who uh, bought the hill, and then all these kings here have troubles with the. I mean, at this time, this is Jehu, I said. So here at Jehu's time, and then these kings would have been there as well. So, in all the battles that I can think of that happened there, what was going on? Because they were surrounded one time. Jesus entered a village. It can't be in, because I was going to put in their city or a city by them. I've got to make it walking to. They're walking to Samaria. I want to put the word here correctly, so I've got to hesitate and think of this because I don't know if I'm going to think through this when I do this editing further. I'm going to do this and leave it that I don't know as they were walking. I can do this. As they were walking, and we don't know where they're really walking to except to their priest, they were healed. So this leaves it more of a subject of where they walked to that they could have walked to, because I don't want to try to influence that text and say I know exactly where they were at this time, but we know that I just know that what's going on here, that they could have walked to when going to Jericho. Now, this is mentioned at the time Elijah went to heaven, into the heaven in a chariot. So here, over here, there could have been another village along this road. And Jesus was closer here to here, and they went this way, which would have been closer than that. So if I say Jericho, as they were walking to Jericho, which means they went that way. Jesus was walking this way. They were healed, and one of the healed returned to Jesus, and she praised Yahweh. Now I'm putting a woman here. So the thing here is there's not many women in the text at all. If you really pay attention to all the text in the Hebrew text and in the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there is no words about women going to heaven, okay? So I have purposely inserted women when I could, okay? So the thing here is she praised Yahweh, then fell at his feet to thank him. Jesus asked her, "Where are the others?" Now I have to have her reply because the answer here, she's answering. So she said she does not know. Then Jesus told her, "It was your trust in me that I healed you." Again, this goes back to the other verse that about the one who was blind, I believe. So maybe it was leprosy. Got a lot in this tiny little mind here. So the thing here is I'm happy with editing it to Jarek now. And we have Jesus now in the 5th month here. So I'm going to call this video the end here, and then I'm going to count down, and then I'm just going to be right back for a little bit.